The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros, UFC's decision to go head to head with Canelo on Mexican Independence Day hurts their ticket sales. So this has been reported from multiple media sources and outlets, from Twitter to certain articles. I'm just going to view this from Boxing Kingdom. Tickets for Canelo Alvarez versus Berlanga are selling well, and the event will likely sell out. The UFC are struggling to sell the remaining tickets at heavily discounted prices. The UFC's attempt to take Canelo's Mexican Independence Day fight date has failed. So that's what's being reported. Again, that's what's being reported, not just from Boxing Kingdom, but I saw several articles reporting this in several media outlets that tweeted this. So, word on the street, Trill Dollar Bill, is that UFC's decision to go head to head with Canelo isn't going well in terms of ticket sales, and who knows how that's going to impact pay per view buys. So, what's your reaction to the word on the street?
That's what you get. Going against the king. Boxing's number one. Saul Alvarez, the face of boxing. I get accused of being a fanboy because I be stating the obvious. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not blind. When I be talking about resumes and stuff like that and who I think is the face of boxing, you're going against Saul Alvarez. People say they hate this fight. It's not worth it. But this is still the face of boxing. This is still Saul Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez. Put some respect on a young man's name. This is all I gotta say. They're wild for that. They should have known better. They came out talking trash like they was gonna steal his date. You can't do that. This proves boxing is number one. Boxing is here to stay. That's all. This just validates what I've been saying about boxing. Boxing is number one. That's all.
Look, I never disrespect UFC. I'm not a big UFC fan. I've watched some fights. I don't watch UFC regularly. I know some people enjoy UFC and boxing. So I never understood why they would want to go head to head with each other and put a fan in a position where they had to choose between one or the other. I remember nights where we had to wait a little longer for a UFC card to end before the fighter would come to the ring. And I just always thought, what is the goal? I can see when two franchises are competing against each other and they're kind of in the same market. But I think you got diehard boxing fans, you got diehard UFC fans, and you got a small percentage that ride for both. And so, I mean, I would like to have a percentage. I don't know if someone's ever done this breakdown of like people who are diehard boxing and UFC fans. I'm sure it's a very small percentage.
Shout out to our bro, Alex. Shout out to our bro, Alex. He's definitely both. He's the MMA and he's the boxing. So shout out to our bro, Alex.
Yeah, see, there's some like Complex is one too. Like Complex likes
shout out to our bro, Complex.
And he likes boxing. So there are definitely people out there like that. I never understood why they didn't just kind of collab. If it's like you want to put a show on this date because you know that this is a good date, like why not collab and kind of do it so that it's beneficial for your card and for Canelo's card. It seems like there's a competition. And I'll be honest, it seems like the competition comes from the UFC side all the time. It's like UFC wants to compete with boxing. So part of the reason why we don't have fight night is because EA Sports decided they were going to put all their resources, time, and effort into making UFC fight games instead of making boxing fight games. And, so they put all their energy and effort into making that and not into making a game for boxing. But as time has passed, boxing has proven that boxing, and I say this respectfully and objectively, but boxing is bigger than MMA. Just look at the pay-per-view numbers, look at the superstars. MMA has to help sell its video game now by putting boxers in the video game. Like they had to put Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury into their video game. And again, this isn't me disrespecting MMA because I don't really watch it. I don't have any issues with people who like MMA, but to blatantly try to compete with Canelo on a date that he's had for years now, and before him was Floyd Mayweather's date, is UFC's attempt to compete with boxing. And I don't really understand why they would do it like that. I think, like, even if I was a UFC fan, right? Like, if I was a diehard UFC fan and I like Sean O'Malley and I want to see him fight, the fact that UFC put Sean O'Malley's fight on the same day as Canelo Alvarez on Mexican Independence Day, knowing that Canelo's, I feel disrespected as a fan. Because now you're forcing me to choose. You know I want to see Canelo, and now you're trying to make me choose, and I don't like that. So just out of spite to discourage you from doing it again, I'd pay to watch Canelo instead of O'Malley because one, I'm used to watching Canelo on his date. Two, Canelo's not doing anything unusual. He's doing what he always does. It's you, UFC, who's doing something unusual and out of the ordinary. My question is, why do MMA fighters think they can step in a boxing ring and beat boxers? I hear people saying this all the time. How come boxers don't cross over and go in the octagon or fight in MMA? Because they're not stupid. Boxers don't wake up and think, you know what? I can beat a MMA fighter in an MMA fight. They don't think that way. But MMA fighters look at boxers and think, oh, they only use one discipline. I could go in there and I could beat them. So they're the ones who come over and they're the ones who fight the boxers. And they're the ones who now want to compete with boxing. To me, this would be so much better if MMA, UFC, those organizations just acknowledge that they're different from boxing and they actually work together instead of trying to compete with each other. They would get better numbers, and so would boxing in the end when you stop forcing people who like both to choose one.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. I'm the Commissioner Trill Dollar Bill. This is my brother Cadence, LLG for life, and we the Boxing Bros.